How's everyone doing? Good. You guys will definitely want to take notes. Tori is going to come down and get your email addresses and then send you guys the participant manual for this. I've taught this a million times, but I go off script a lot, so that's why I need to take notes, but I do stay on point. But definitely taking notes, highly recommend it. Give it like another minute. This is probably like one of my favorite things to teach because it's so relatable to your personal life, you know, and your business. But yeah, it's really, really good. Troy, Christy's on here, so I told her that we would email her and then everyone else in here. Yeah, I'm gonna give it like literally like less than 1 minute and then I'll get started. Cool. It's going. JP, is this a new format? The new format? That's what I sent you?
This is exactly what you sent me.
That's weird. They must have just changed this and I must have downloaded it. This is great. No, it's great. I love it. Just the layout of this looks different, that's all.
Yeah, that's exactly what was in the email.
Perfect. All right. Let's rock and roll. You guys ready?
Yes.
You guys ready to learn? All right.
Yeah.
So. I love Kristen. So I wrote something up here, right? And I want you guys to tell me what you think your version of it is. We can choose to learn for leaving sake or choose to learn for doing sake. What do you think? What do you think that means? And by the way, this is participatory, so it means I'm not going to do all the talking. So you guys is going to be a lot of interaction. If you don't talk, I'll pick on you. I promise you. All right. So what do you guys think of when you read that or when you hear that?
Chris, can you repeat it?
Yeah, you can choose to learn for leaving sake or choose to learn for doing sake.
So would
Stand
be,
up.
so would learning for meaning sake just be like
Leaving sake.
leaving sake?
Yep.
Professional like learner essentially, but you're learning without implementation versus somebody that implements.
Yep.
It takes learning and
I love that. I love it. Who else?
When I hear nothing about balance, because I think that it's important. learn to share that knowledge with others.
Yep,
Pour into that and bring that up as well. But also define the differences of like, use that to improve. Here's.
love it. It's a great perspective. One more. Troy, what do you think?
Experience. I think that creating a legacy, learning to create a legacy, rather than learning or just doing to get by.
I love that. And that's kind of like along the same lines of what I believe is that you can come here, you can learn, and then when you leave here, what are you going to do with that information? Right? Are you going to implement it, take action on it, put it into your personal life, your professional life, right? And it's when I hear for doing sake, it means action, like taking action on it. That makes sense? So our first step in the 6 personal perspectives is commit to self-mastery. What does committing to self-mastery mean to you guys?
Become the best you can.
What's that?
Become the best you can.
The best you can, or the best you can do.
Well, I think you could push yourself as hard as you want, so it's pushing yourself to master what you're committed to.
Awesome, love it. So I'm gonna challenge you guys too during this, right? Because it's really how you learn. So what is committing to self-mastery mean? I mean, those are prime examples right there, right? The whole story behind Michael Jordan and what he did to get to where he got to, just absolutely amazing. Same with Kobe. Kobe was just relentless in his work ethic. And talking about committing to self-mastery, what are you guys doing right now in your real estate business? Even though some of you, or a lot of you are newer to the business, what are you doing right now to stay ahead? To do more than the next realtor? Number one, you're here, right? What else?
Being consistent.
Being consistent, I love that. Because oftentimes, right, it starts with mindset. And when you wake up, like, think about it. What do you guys do? Like, when you wake up in the morning, number one, what time do you get up? What's the first thing you do when you wake up? Is it look at your phone?
No,
Good answer, right? Do you not look at your phone for like a half hour, 45 minutes? And then do you go exercise? Do you read? Do you journal? What do you do? Do you go to breakfast? Take care of your kids, whatever it is. But what does it look like when you wake up in the morning? Because how you wake up and what you do after that sets up the rest of the day. If you wake up and you're in a really bad mood from the night before, the day before, how do you think that day is going to go? It's not going to go really well. And actually, it'll actually carry over into your business. So you wake up and you're not in a good mood, and you know that you have this, and this to do with your work. Most likely, you're not going to get it done, or you're not going to do it at a high level. So how do we, when we wake up, get our mind right so everything else during the day becomes easier and unnecessary?
positive affirmations.
Love it.
Something I do is meditate for 5 minutes
Yep.
and just kind of reset my mind and get myself in the right space.
Love it.
I mean, one thing Gary says is get done the things that are the hardest earlier in the day. So for me, I feel like I've been slacking on the gym, and I'm trying to squeeze in at the end of the day, which isn't working. So what's the hardest thing for me right now to get into the gym? So I've shifted that to the morning, get it out of the way. By 8 a.m. I have that crossed out of my calendar and focus on the rest of my day.
And that's important, right? Your health is so important, especially as you get older like me. So, but to continue and be consistent. But one thing about me with my health and working out is I've always been consistent since I was like 13 years old. Is I've always had that engraved in my brain is to take care of yourself. I like fitness, so that makes it a little bit easier. But even as you get older, a lot of people may have worked out when they were in their 20s. And then they get into their 30s and then they start to like, they go like this because life gets in the way, right? You get married, you have kids, whatever goes on, and then you use excuses not to do it. Right? And the only excuse not to do it is your own. And for me, just like Andrew said, if you know that after work, like 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night, you're gonna be too tired to go to the gym, then maybe you do it in the morning. Get it checked off the list. Like for me, it's 4:45 in the morning. I'm not saying that you guys get up that early, but what I'm saying is that's the only time that I can do it, that I know I'll get it done, because after like 6 o'clock, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen at night. I don't want to go to the gym after work. And it's certainly not gonna happen prior because I have other things that I have to do. So, yeah,
And it also relates to business. If there's something that you're pushing off and it's lingering in your mind, not only procrastinating, but you're also taking away focus from other actions that you can take, because you know you have those 2 or 3 things that you have to do that you don't want to do, and you can't put your focus into what you're actually doing in the moment.
no, you're absolutely right. You can use whatever excuses you want, and in this case, we're using, fitness as an example, but if you want to lose weight or you want to eat healthier, you can use whatever excuses you want. Oh God, I had a stressful day, so I need to go home and have a drink. Or I had a stressful day, I need to go eat a cheeseburger, and you're trying to lose weight and eat healthier. You can use whatever excuse you want, but it's all right here. It all starts with your mindset. And I love starting this off with mindset, because if you don't start off with mindset, the rest of it is just not going to work out for you. And a lot of times, we talk about real estate, but we don't talk enough about mindset. And those two directly correlate with each other. So what else could you commit to in self-mastery that will make your life easier and necessary? Put mindset aside. And let's pertain this to real estate. What are some things that you could do in real estate that would make your lives a lot easier?
Time block.
I struggle with mastering my schedule, mastering that time blocking, that time management, that adherence to that time blocking once it's in place.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Time blocking is like so important. I live off my calendar. So I'm going to challenge all of you, after you're done today, go look at your calendar. I don't care what kind of calendar you use. I use a Google Calendar, right? Is go through, start at whatever time you wake up, and then go through the rest and go in half-hour increments. And then time block the most important things you think you need to do, both from a personal level and professional level. So start with mindset first, right? And then segue into whether it's journaling, reading 10 pages, watching a podcast, get your mind right? Get the juices flowing, gratitude, right? Maybe like 3 things that you're grateful for every day. And those affirmations that Christy talked about, right? Once you do that, what's the rest of your day look like? Is it lead gen? Are you doing lead generation for 2 hours every day? Carve that out and then color code it to whatever you think the color should be. Like if it's gym, I usually I'll put red for fire, right? If it's lead gen, green for money. I'm just giving you examples, right? And then go through the rest of the day and time block your whole week. In the beginning of the year, what I like to do is kind of look through the whole year. First thing I do is like put 2 vacations on the calendar, right? Because that's the first thing you should do. Is we all need to take time off, reset. So you should be putting your vacations on the calendar, because it also is a reminder for you guys to save money for it as well, right? So even putting that stuff on the calendar is like, hey, I need to save $500 a week, whatever the number is, but you got to see it. It's like a vision board. Right. So after this is over, I like to see you guys kind of construct your calendar, time block it, kind of like what JP was talking about. I think that's something that's really important. Any questions on that? Well,
Set
yeah.
reminders for those calendar, the blocks in your calendars, because they can be there. And then if you get that reminder, you're like, oh, right, I'm supposed to be doing this into the next work. It just gives you that extra push to do it a little bit more.
So how that won't happen is review your next day the night before. Right? So every night I'll look at my calendar for the next day and I don't want to have that oh shit moment, right? Is like you come in, you're like, oh my God, I forgot I had that meeting. Whereas the night before, you look at, okay, I got this, all right, my mind's right, I'm good, I know what I'm doing tomorrow, right? Or I'll even look at like on Monday, I'll just look ahead to a couple days like during that week to say, okay, well, I got something bigger coming up on Thursday, it's Monday. I need to like keep that in my head because I have to get prepared for it. Right, but certainly the next day, be prepared because it's like lead generation. If you come in, you lead gen from 9 to 11. And you come in at 9 o'clock and you don't know who you're calling. You spend a half hour looking for who you're going to call. You wasted a half hour because you're not prepared. But the night before, if you have that list out, you have a plan. When you come in not at 8:50 or 8:55, you get your mind right in those 2 hours, no interruptions, no Facebook, no social media, no emails up, and it's just straight out lead gen for 2 strong hours, but you're ready. That is the biggest difference between someone that comes in prepared and is ready and someone that's half-assing it. And everyone here is not average, right? Right?
Right.
Okay, all right. What's another thing that you could do to commit to self-mastery? That would make your lives a lot easier in regards to real estate. We talked about time blocking. Role play, love it. Right? And expand on that. What do you mean?
Find somebody to practice.
Partner?
scripts. Yeah.
Yep. And do you think having a coach is important? Did Michael Jordan have a coach? Did Kobe Bryant have a coach? He had a couple coaches, right? Strength and conditioning, mindset, the coach on their team, right? So do you think it's important to practice your craft and have a script partner to role play? I think everyone should. They do it. Andrew, JP. It's important. How important is your business to you? And I'll go down this rabbit hole a little bit. Are you guys are at 1099, right? Are you guys self-employed? Are you employees? Are you business owners? What?
Business owners.
You're business owners. Are you incorporated? Do you have an LLC? Yes? Yes? No?
Yes,
No money.
What do you think? Do you think there's more tax advantages to being paid as a 1099 or to being a business owner? Having an S Corp, LLC, however you set up versus just paying yourself as a person. Which one has more tax advantages to it?
this,
Business owner, big time. So if you're paying yourself, go talk to your CPA, talk to an accountant, right? And find out how to get your company set up what's best for you, right? Because there's a lot of things that you could be doing right now to save money for taxes, write-offs, dinners, gas, all that stuff, right? There's so many different ways that you can save money by having your own business. So just a little food for thought. Even if you guys have your own company set up, just make sure that you have a really good CPA or accountant. And take it from me, a lot of times they won't give you even more information that's going to better help you to save more money. You have to do your own due diligence, right? So just really just read the tax laws, understand them a little more. I'm not saying you have to know all of them, but know the basics about it and how much stuff you can write off as well. Because we're paying a lot of money to the government and we're not getting enough money back. So, and the rule is written for us actually as business owners. They want us to take advantage of that. They want us to create more jobs. So us as business owners, if we can go out and create more business, the government likes that. We deserve to get the tax breaks for that. Make sense? Questions? So self-mastery, possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that make you the master of you. You be the master of you, right? It doesn't mean be the master of all things. Just be the master of you. You control what you do. Chris Summers in the house. What's up, buddy?
And myself.
Good to see you, buddy. I can't tell you how important it is that you guys just literally focus, you hear this all the time, focus on one thing. What's your one thing right now? So in real estate, if you don't have leads, what do you have? Zero. That funnel, right? You need that funnel full all the time. For the past 4 years to 5 years, you've had it good. Some of you have not been in business that long. And some of you have been in business a long time and get this, going through a shift. And the one thing that always happens during a shift is people don't stay in touch with their clients and they forget how to lead generate or don't do lead generation because they're depending on referrals. They're depending on the market, on how everything is just kind of handed to them. Well, guess what? Times have changed. And you guys are gonna have, and the good news is for the newbies in here, is that you don't know any better. You don't have any bad habits yet, right? You're gonna have to work harder than you've ever had to work before. For those of us that have been in real estate for a while. It's gonna be, you're gonna have to make more calls, you're gonna have to go on more appointments, and you're gonna do more closings to make the same amount of GCI gross commission income that you made last year, the year before that. The good news is that there's lots of opportunity because a lot of agents aren't willing to do that. What's going to separate you guys from everyone else? There's a little over 20,000 agents in Philadelphia County. 20,000 agents in Philadelphia County. How do you guys feel when you hear that? There's 20,000 agents in Philadelphia County. What goes through your mind? Is it, oh crap? Is I'm going to crush it?
I'm gonna crush it.
Love it. I can guarantee you, over 80% of those agents aren't willing to do what it takes. Right? To be the master of you. And it all starts with how you get up in the morning that dictates the rest of the day. Anybody can learn real estate. Anybody can learn. The consistency is really important. How you wake up every day doing the same thing, being methodical about it, working on you, not just working on your real estate business, but working on you, will directly be in response to how your business ends up and how you show up as a person. So, when you commit to achieving self-mastery, number one, know your goals. Who in here does goal setting? Now, it's one thing to write down your goals. How many times, let's be honest here, and I'm included in this because I've done this in the past, is you write down your goals and then you don't look at them again, or you forget about it, or you don't achieve them, right? That's why I'm going to go into like GPS and 4-on-1. It's kind of like writing down your goals and then backing into it. I'll give you an example. I want to net $100,000 in GCI. Okay, well, how are you going to get there? Backing into it, say, okay, well, I have to do this many buy-side deals, this many sell-side deals, this many phone calls, this many contacts, this many meetings, this many closings. And there is a model for it. Does anybody know what the model is to kind of get to there? It's in the MRA book. Anyone? It's the economic model. There's a worksheet on there. You can put your GCI on there, and then it automatically populates exactly how many deals you have to do. You just have to do the work. You guys know what I'm talking about? If you don't, just go like this. Yes.
Yeah, well, what I would let everyone know too is when you're going through that, so one, through KW Connect, you can access fillable PDFs for the economic model. But what those PDFs don't get into, that I usually try to go over before I ever walk through the economic model, is figuring out what that GCI needs to be, because a lot of times I'll ask someone, well, how much GCI do you want to earn? And their response varies wildly. Some will say, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. And then I ask them why, and they freeze. They have no idea why they came up with that number. Except sometimes they'll go, well, because that's a lot of money, and I want to make a lot of money. It's important to walk through even further back and figure out what do I want my life to look like, and what are the costs associated with that. And then factor in things like taxes, like the cost of doing business, like your expenses. And you'll see that, maybe you thought that you needed to make, $50,000, but you need to gross $100,000 to get into that amount. So figure out what your life wants to look like first, and then you can work backward and figure out what the true number that you need to gross is, and do all your numbers off that. There's nothing more frustrating than going through all this goal setting, hitting all those numbers that you thought were your goals, and then still not having the life that you thought you would have.
Yep, no, it's great. And I'll expand on that. So when you guys get paid a commission, taxes aren't taken out. So if you don't have an LLC or an S corp or a company set up yet, you're gonna have to take more out. So a good rule of thumb is, take 30% of that. So if it's $10,000 commission, take $3,000, put that into a separate account, put it into a savings account. Don't touch it, you're not there. Pretend like you're not spending 10 grand, right? You have $7,000 left, right? If you do have an S corp or an LLC, do the same thing, but at the end of the year, you're gonna have tax breaks because you're gonna have write-offs. You can't do that unless you have an LLC or an S corp, right? So that's where you kind of save the savings. So just make sure that when you guys get paid, and a lot of people fall into this trap, is they start doing closings, and that's a great thing, but then they forget to put money aside for taxes. And then year end, it's the oh crap moment, right? And then your accountant or CPA says, hey, by the way, you got to write a check for 28 grand. Well, I don't have 28 grand. And then what happens is, I got to beg, borrow, and steal to pay the 28,000 or take out a loan, God forbid, to pay off your taxes. Do not go down that rabbit hole. Do not. You're putting yourself into debt. Not going to be good. I promise you. It'll take you that much longer to dig out of that hole. Because what happens is, if you're not keeping up with the closings that you're doing, you're not making the money, but then the expenses are the same. It doesn't work out. Does that make sense to everyone? Know your strengths and weaknesses. Leverage. If you hate paperwork, first thing I did, like literally when I got my license, I was like maybe a month in, I'm like, oh hell no, I hate paperwork. Right? So I found a part-time admin. And then if you read the MREA, I'm not supposed to do that, but I knew enough to know that my skills were hitting the bricks, bringing in business. I hired a part-time admin. I shared it with another team. It was the best thing ever. They did transaction management for me. They handled all the paperwork. It was great. Right? So just know kind of like, as you get older, it's easier because I know what I'm not good at and I know what I'm good at. It's very easy. Don't think you can do everything because you can't. What's the one thing that you can do? We just talked about it, right? That'll bring the most business in for you. When you say lead gen, I'm not talking about just like cold calling. I'm talking about being in touch with your sphere, client appreciation events, those types of things, networking, open houses, especially open houses. I love doing open houses. I loved it. It was a great way just to leverage out a listing. Even if you're just hosting, if you're going to an open house for another realtor, and you can get the buy side part of that, the outside sales from it, beautiful, right? Great way to bring business in by just showing up and not spending any money. Really, really good. 3, know how to work with both your strengths and weaknesses to reach your goals. Learn how to navigate it. What are some ways that you can leverage that?
Starting with the pros and cons list of things that you like to do versus the things that you don't like to do, or the things that you know you're good at versus the things that you are weak in.
Yeah.
Just starting there is good.
No, I mean, it's really, I'm telling you, it's really important to figure out like what you're good at and what you're not good at. Like marketing, if you think I'm going to do all my own marketing, if you really stink at marketing, maybe figure out a way to find someone else to do for you, on the cheap. Because as you start your real estate business, if it's free, it's for me, right? So try to find out some ways where and there's a lot of different ways where you don't have to spend money to do some marketing. And my man, John Paul over there, using Command at a high level is a good start, right? Who in here really knows Command? So you need to do a better job of learning Command.
Oh, I know that. I mean, I can write that.
So there's some really good tools in Command that you guys can use, and it doesn't cost you anything. So get with JP, that's why he's here, he's here to help. All right. Oh, the 80-20 principle. What does that mean?
80% of your business comes from 20% of your actions.
Yep, absolutely. And let's deep dive into that. What does that mean in regards to 20% of your actions?
You're gonna do a lot of stuff, but like the most profitable stuff is only about 20% of it. And you have to figure out which part of it is the most profitable, and which of it is like the rest of it.
Yep.
And do more of the most profitable stuff to create more of that 80% getting at it.
So do you guys ever hear about the jar, like with the big rocks? Right? Is that we put the big rocks in first, and then the smaller rocks go in, then the pebbles, then the sand. So the pebbles, the smaller rocks, and the sand, that's like, I'll get to that later because it's not as important as the big rocks, to your point. So for you guys, like right now, lead generation are your big rocks. Nothing else matters, right? You'll get to the other stuff. You'll make appointments. You'll do open houses. You'll do that stuff. But getting on the phone and contacting your database on a consistent basis, that's how you're going to break through ceiling. And I think Andrew brought it up, is doing those things that you don't want to do, or the things that are boring. Those are the things you should be doing. There's a reason Michael Jordan practiced chess passes. Do you think you need to practice chess passes? No. But it's doing those things, being so automatic with it. Kind of like I was talking about, like working out. It's like I get up 4:15 every morning, automatic, no alarm, no nothing. It's ingrained in my brain. Your real estate business has to be the same way. It's got to be on autopilot. And the only way to do that is repetition. So if you lead generate Monday, Tuesday, don't do anything Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and that's your MO, what do you think is going to happen? Are you going to achieve your goals? No, you're not. Because you'll only be able to fake your way for a period of time, and then it's going to show up. So I say it all the time, but yet a lot of people don't do it. Is, I got to lead generate, and then what happens? And listen, well, I'm in the office all the time. Okay, that's great, you're in the office all the time, but what are you doing while you're here? Oh, yes, there is a pattern of predictable imbalance in life. What does that mean? I like predictable data. I know Chris Summers does too. What if you could predict what your GCI was going to be for the rest of 2023? With like 95% certainty. What if you could predict it? Would you do it? So in your mind, you have that in your mind. Okay, if I have predictable data and I know if I tell you this is what you have to do, I lay it all out for you. And you did it. And you got it. Would you be a believer? You'd be a believer, wouldn't you? The problem is because you haven't done it yet, that it's not ingrained in your brain. You don't believe it. And the trick is you have to trick your mind. And I'm not saying that you're going to trick your mind, you're not going to be able to do it, because there's a model for it. And that's what we teach you here. You just have to show up and actually do it. And then when I see that as a pattern of predictable imbalance in life, it's kind of like what I think about. That imbalance in life is when you show up on Monday and Tuesday and don't show up the rest of the week. Or it's summertime and it's 90 degrees outside and you'd rather go to the beach than do an open house or do an open houses or a lead generator. Because your business is not important enough to you. What's your legacy look like? Do you guys want generational wealth? Do you know what generational wealth is? It's there for everyone here. No one in here is better than anybody else. When we're focused on the 20% that matters, we get 80% of the results. We just talked about that. What's your 20% effort look like? This all goes back to the little things, right? It's about how you wake up in the morning, what you do in the morning, get your mind right. Your lead generation, what does that look like? What does the rest of your day look like? Is it on your calendar? You hold yourself accountable to your calendar. What happens if you don't? How does it make you feel? What does your next day look like? Is it a repetition of the day before? Because we fall into that trap as people. We're creatures of habit. Is that we had a bad day yesterday, we didn't do what we're supposed to. That carries over to the next day, to the next day, to the next day. There's a pattern there. But reverse that. What would happen if you woke up and like, I'm going to kick ass today. I'm taking care of my health. I'm taking care of my mind, taking care of my wealth. It's that important to me. And then that carries over to the next day, and to the next day, and to the next day. We're going to have bad days. In between there, we're going to have bad days. Part of life. Things happen. Is to get back up, get back on the bus again, and get that mind right again. High achievers always have a focus, and they use the 80-20 principle as the method of their focus. I think we just talked about that. All right, everyone here know what a 401 is? No? Who in here usually pro coaching here? All right, so I'm going to give you some homework to do. Get with Tess and have her do a 401 with you. Yes? All right. So 401 is 1 year goal. Each month, 1 month that supports the 1 year goal, and the 4 weeks that support the 1 month and the 1 year. And you're not going to fill out all 4 weeks. You're going to fill out 1 week at a time because why? If you don't do what you're supposed to do that 1 week, that needs to carry over to the next week. Make sense? Set SMART goals. Specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time bound. And then create a productivity tool. When you see this, like what comes to mind? How does it make you feel when you see this? Is it overwhelming? Is it like I'm not doing any of that? Awful quiet here.
I'll answer. Sometimes it's overwhelming. I mean, looking at this right now, my goals have changed. I haven't relayed out my one. It's a little bit overwhelming. I mean, sometimes, some of your goals change and maybe every 6 months you need to reevaluate what that annual goal is, or every quarter you can reevaluate that annual goal, rewrite it. I think that's kind of where I'm at right now.
So I appreciate that. So let's start with specific. When I look at specific, the first, and it's the same question I ask myself is how do I get there? Right? And what are they? What are the specific goals that you need to be doing, right? When I look at time bound, how do I get there? That's time blocking, right? Realistic. And I think JP brought it up. Am I just, when I ask what your GCI you want it to be, and you say, well, 500,000, and you just started as a real estate agent, it's probably not realistic. I hope it is, but it's not. Right? So let's be realistic about what your goals are. Action oriented. What type of action are you taking? That starts with like when you wake up in the morning, mindset, right? And then measurable. How do you measure your goals? So if, let's say you start March 1st and you get to March 7th and you do a review of your week, which by the way, you should be doing, you should be reviewing each day prior to see where you missed out. And where you can make it up and how you can get better, right? That's measuring your goals, not just in business, but in your personal life as well. If you're on a workout plan or workout regimen and you worked out for the first week of March and the second week you didn't do anything, how are you holding yourself accountable? By the way, each one of you need an accountability partner. Whether it be someone at home, a friend, someone here, share your goals. Don't be embarrassed, don't be afraid, share your goals. People will help you. All you have to do is ask. If you don't ask, you what? You don't get. Right? Really, really important. It's a game changer, actually. Nobody in here, including myself, can hold themselves solely accountable. You need accountability partners. That's what a Form 1 sheet looks like. There's a couple different versions of them. Annual goals, both personal and professional, by the way, it's not just business, it's personal too. And weekly goals. Time blocking, we talked about that. Dedicating specific periods of time, to specific purposes. You think you need 2 hours a day for social media? Probably not. Probably not. I love EDP. Time is, and again, as you get older, time becomes a lot more precious, but to all of us, time is the most important thing we have. Some people say money, family, yes, all those things are important. But time is the most important thing we have. How do we protect our time? Know when to say yes to something, when to say no to something, really important. That's why when you're doing your calendars, and ask yourselves this question, when I time block this, what am I getting out of it? If it's business, money related, what's my ROI on that hour I'm time blocking for lead generation, or 2 hours, whatever it is. You exercise, you know what you're getting, right? You're taking care of yourself, right? But just make sure when you're time blocking that you make sure that you're really carving out that time and you know why you're carving it out. As I say, another way to put that is easy to pain. Right? So entrepreneurial style, the purposeful style. I'm not sure if there's this slide here. Go back. So I'll draw it on here because I don't think that I like the slide with my own. So all right. Sorry, Christy, you can't see this, but maybe I can turn it around. Entrepreneurial or easy is doing things that are like kind of automatic. And I'll give you an example, and there's nothing wrong with it. So I'm going to preface by saying that. There's someone that goes to work 9 to 5, and they punch in, they punch out, really not much room for advancement. And they're there for 30 years. Again, nothing wrong with that. Are they going to be able to break through a ceiling for what's more? Listen, I believe this. We're all meant to do amazing things as people. Right? We all have talents in here. We all have different talents. Knowing what your talents are and leveraging those talents to break through the ceiling, that's the secret sauce. Right? So when you can break through a ceiling, that's where the pain happens. That's where getting comfortable, being uncomfortable happens. Saying that, I'll give you an example. I want to start a business And I'm really good at, let's just say, I'll use a restaurant. I'm a really good cook. And I want to open up a restaurant. I've been doing this for a long time. I think it's time for me to start a restaurant. What could get in the way of that person not opening up a restaurant?
They don't know the name on money.
Money. Money. It's funny, you guys said money was the first thing. What else?
Life circumstances.
Life circumstances, absolutely. What else?
Not enough motivation.
Well, I think the motivate, well, it could be. Motivation could be there because most people, when they start a business, they're excited about it. But yet they're also fearful of some of the things that we're talking about, right? Time, too, the time commitment. Right? If you have a family, am I going to see, if you have kids, am I going to see my kids as much? Like all those things are playing through your head. So there's sacrifices involved with that, right? But if you're smart, I mean, you have a business plan, right? And you bring in the right people to help you, whether it be attorneys and accountants, and do your due diligence. It makes it that much less scary, right? But ultimately, you're gonna have to break through the ceiling if that's what you want to do. And you guys as realtors now, how do you get from just being a realtor? And no one here is average, because we talked about that before, right? No one here is average, right? No one here is average, right?
No.
Jeez Louise. Once you break through the ceiling, that's where the magic happens. That's the continual lead gen every single day. That's doing 2 to 3 open houses a week. It's doing what other people aren't willing to do. That's breaking through the ceiling. That's building a big business. And eventually, when you qualify, buying shares in title, having ancillary income coming in over and above what you're getting from your real estate sales. Newsflash. Your life is just not about doing real estate sales, and it shouldn't be. It should be about how can I become a real estate investor if you're not. And as you save money, and put money aside, how can I make that money work for me? That's why having the right people on your team, a great CPA, a great financial planner, right? That knows the real estate business. And we can help you with names and all that stuff, right? All you have to do is ask. That's what's going to help you get through that ceiling, and that's when all the opportunities happen. When you have results and you're consistent with it, that's when opportunity, that's how life happens. You think you get drafted into the, I use football. You think you get drafted into the NFL by being average? No, no one sees what happens behind the scenes. All the hard work that goes into it. The early mornings, the late nights. Are you guys willing to do that? It's what it takes, especially now. I said it earlier, you're gonna have to work harder than you ever had to work before. Shouldn't scare you. I'm not saying it to scare you. Because guess what? When the market softens up and it gets better, you guys are already doing it. Like, this is easy. Because you're already putting in the hard work. You're systematic in your approach. You know your goals. But it's the front end work that people missed out on. It's the hard work to set yourself up for success is where people miss out. And I'm just telling you this from experience. I've seen it a million times. I don't want to see you guys make the same mistakes. High achievers are always looking for the purposeful way. By doing this, they break through the ceiling of their natural behavior. So doing what comes unnatural. So think about everything that you guys have been doing. Take a look back at what some things that you can improve on and things that you can do better. And that all falls into like the time blocking part of it. And what does your behavior look like? If you get up at 8:30, 9 o'clock every morning, you might want to take a look at that. Now, I'm not saying that you can't be effective in the afternoon or at night. I'm not saying that. But what I will tell you is history tells us is that the most successful people, high achieving people, get their stuff done in the morning.
Okay, so I saw on TikTok.
Mhm.
That showed in New York City, and it was like, something. But there was an apartment building to the left. And there was like a lower rent apartment to the left, and then $1 million condo building to the right. And it was super early in the morning, and they showed all the lights are basically on the apartment building on the left side.
Mhm.
And then on the condo, like half the lights. Because those people got up earlier in the morning to do what they had to do, and it just.
Unbelievable. That's great. I'd love to see that TikTok video. That's pretty cool. I love it. That makes sense to everyone? Can you guys think of some things that maybe you need to do differently?
Get up earlier.
Then when you get up earlier, what are you gonna do? It's one thing to get up earlier, but now what do I do? How do you make that purposeful? Right? And this is what I do, is I don't read or listen to usually the same thing every morning. I go with my emotions, how I feel that morning, like, what do I need? Do I need a little Ed Milet? Do I need a little bit of Tony Robbins? Do I need some more like real estate investor guy stuff? You know, on podcasts, like, where am I at? There's no rules for this. It's just that when you wake up, kind of figure out and know yourself, like, all right, what do I need? And if you don't know, just pick something. Right? 5 steps to get purposeful. Number 1, focus. Write your goals, focus on the 20%. Yes?
Yes.
2, find strategic options. Ask, how can this be done? Ask, are there different or better ways to do it? I love that one. So when you're writing your goals, how can this get done? How can I achieve the goal? Or are there better ways to do it? I ask myself that all the time. If I ever do something, I'm like, could I have done that better? Could I maybe ask someone else who did it at a higher level? Right? It's a cheating secret is if someone's doing something at a really high level, I'm gonna go ask them how to do it. It sounds so simple, right? But yet we like to do things on our own and not ask. Step 3, look for a model to follow. We have a lot of models here. Attend training that teaches you to get where you want to go, i.e. here. Identify mentors, people who have done it. I just talked about that. You got someone in here, I don't know where you went, but Chris, Chris has been in business a long time, the Summers team. What would it look like if you said, hey, Chris, can I buy you a cup of coffee? Can I spend a half hour or an hour with you? Just take a break. You could do that with anybody in here. Well, we'll let you know who to talk to and who not to talk to. Put it that way. Step 4, install systems. Time block, practice scripts and create checklists. Make sure the systems you install work consistently and effectively. Just because you have a system doesn't mean it's the right system. If you've been doing things wrong for a long time, doesn't mean you're doing them right. So here we have really good models and systems, right? You'll be learning in pro coaching, but certainly time blocking. We just talked about, script practice and creating checklists are really, really important. Step 5, bringing accountability. We talked about that too. It's amazing how these are coming up. Measure what you do. How do you measure what you do? What's that?
It's written down. And then one that-
You're half right. So it's written down and then it shows up and then you compare it, right? Keep track of the form goal worksheet. I will tell you this. You fill out, you spend the time to do a correct 4-1-1, and then it goes into your bag or it goes somewhere else, and then you don't look at it. How do you know where you're going if you don't have a map? Like, that's your map. Take a picture of it, put it on your phone, hang it up at home, wherever you can see it, look at it every day. Right? It's like visiting your money. Right? Is that you should always know where your money's going. Right? And then have an accountability partner. We talked about that. Really important. Yes, sir.
One of the other things that I like about the bringing accountability step is that it's not just accountability to yourself, it's accountability for your actions and the results they produce. Even with the economic one, we talk about holding your dollars accountable. So if you hold every aspect of your business accountable, you can figure out what's working, what's not working, what is dollar efficient, what is not dollar efficient. And as you grow, whatever your aspirations are, you can build on that knowledge because you can keep track of it from step one. I had a conversation recently with one of the rainmakers in our office where he's looking to add people to his team and wanted to know how to create the best systems and models, to help those agents succeed. And we talked about how hard it is to go back and quantify what you're doing and what you find success with. But if you're holding accountability to all of your actions and making sure which ones are giving you that success, then when you look to recreate that, when you look to grow and expand, you already have that information in front of you.
Love it. How you doing? Yeah. Yeah.
Where. So if there's someone that is doing it better or is doing it at a high level, like I said, do not hesitate to reach out because they're not gonna be like, oh, sorry, these are my secrets, I'm not going to share them with you. They're gonna give you the information. I know personally, when I'm struggling with something or I feel like I do the same thing over and over and over again and not getting results, I'll reach out to someone who's in my position and say, how are we doing this? Or if I know someone at a super high level in Texas, I'll reach out to them and say, what are your systems? Can you send those to me? Because it changes everything.
It's a great point because, and I do this, I volunteer there times, sometimes with other people in the country, right? When Tori was Navy Services Director, people would say to me, oh my God, I need some help with onboarding. So I would volunteer Tori. I knew Tori would do it, right? Because that's our culture. JP, I've done it with JP and Zach. I think someone's going to reach out to you too for our onboarding process. They did already, right? So I do that because we're a company, we come from giving, and that's our culture. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Because I guarantee you, if someone ever says no to you, then please come to me and tell me who it is, right? Because this is not our culture. We want to help, right? All right. Let's do this real quick. Break through your ceiling. So write one of your goals on paper, write one of your goals. And then under that, what are some of the activities that you could do as part of your 20% to accomplish that goal? Some of the examples are, is there training you can attend, a mentor who can help you, systems you can install, what are they, how are you tracking progress, etc. Let's spend literally spend 3 or 4 minutes. One goal, and then what activities, your 20%, right, that's going to accomplish that goal. As you guys are writing that, I want you to think about this in the back of your head, is how important is that goal to you? Like, how deep does it go? If you have kids, for me, if I don't accomplish that goal, what does it mean for my kids? What does it mean for my legacy? It's just not for me, it's just not a goal, right? There's got to be meaning behind it. And when you start putting meaning behind your goals, that's where the magic happens. And it can't be about money, even though money's important. Give you one more minute. Who wants to share? Yeah,
My goal was to get a minimum of 2 listings per month,
love it, okay,
and, about 20% of my activities are to, my goals are to make 15 conferences.
okay,
And I'm going to do this to get another, phone time. And then the training stuff getting from, and reach out to the people that I use, that are helping, that mentors me, and the system will be.
I love it, that's great. What I'll go a little bit deeper on that, you said 20 contacts per day?
Yeah.
So 20 contacts, how many appointments?
I have to set 3 appointments.
So it's set 3 appointments, perfect. And out of those 3 appointments, how many are you gonna get under contract?
All the next them all, but.
So it should be listing, let's just say 2 out of 3, right? So that's how you're gonna break it down. And then you, from there, you can, once you start doing more business, you can figure out like what your average sale is. And then what your GCI is, you can figure it out from there. That's great, I love it. Who else? One more. Good, Tor.
So mine's about not working.
No, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
It's getting bigger and feeling better daily.
Okay,
So, I started doing yoga, 2 days ago. Already, like, I was getting out of bed and feeling like I was 65 years old. My back hurt, my legs hurt, my arms hurt. I was like, what is going on with me? And yeah, I'm getting older, however, I shouldn't feel this way. I've never felt this way in my life. So it just was like a, wake up call. So daily yoga and then increased time immediately. Like how long I'm doing it to start. I started at 10 minutes and then going to whatever. No sugar. So sugar gives me migraines and I am a love for I just eat it anyway, and then I go to absolute garbage. So just cutting it out. I'm removing items from my house, so I don't eat it, because it's really where I eat it. Taking walks after dinner. So instead of just walking on the couch and looking on my laptop or watching Netflix, just going and taking one walk. And then accountability, asking my partner for help. So instead of seeing him sitting on the couch, being like, hey, can you say, all right, now we're on for a walk. And then tracking it, writing it in the journal daily, the actions I've been taking, and then the results that I feel every day.
I love it. So good. That sugar part is correlate that with your real estate business and your lead generation. Every day you don't lead generate, you're consuming a lot of sugar. And how does it make you feel? You shouldn't feel good, right? Because every day that you don't lead generate, 90 days from now, you can expect 0. Right? Learning based. Before I get into this, that little exercise that we did, hopefully you guys will take this serious and actually go and do what we're talking about. The time blocking, the 4-on-1, writing down your goals, being purposeful about achieving them, right? Not just writing small goals, but writing big goals. Make sense? Be learning based. The individual has made the decision to use effective learning as the foundation piece for their action plan to develop their life. I know for me, I cannot get enough in regards to education and learning. I literally just crave it. And it's because not only do I want to be the local expert, but also I want to be able to help people. Right? How can I help other people get to where they want to get to if I'm not actually doing it myself? Right? So that's why I like the morning time is getting your mind right. Part of that is whether it's journaling, reading a book, listening to a podcast, whatever it is going. We just came back from family reunion. I will tell you this. I've been watching, you know, Tori, you know this. I've been watching like Ed Milet for a long time. And I'm a big fan. And what I love about him is that he brings on guests that are so relatable. They're the best at what they do, whether it be in mindset, habits, real estate, sports, whatever it is. He was a keynote speaker at family reunion. And that was like, for me, I was really looking forward to that, but he was so powerful. Like over half the crowd was crying through the whole thing. There was laughing, there was crying, and a part of me left there differently. And it was he shared a lot of his stories about his kids, what he had to do to get to where he got to. And there's a lot of struggling. There's a lot of pain. We talked about that E to P. There's a lot of pain along the way. And, you know, and obviously now he's being purposeful. And I think the part that hit me the most was, and I've talked about this before over the years, is there's like two versions of ourselves, right? There's the version of who we are right now, and then there's the perfect version of who we're supposed to be. And are we living up to who that person is? And it's kind of deep, and he believes the same thing, is like, you know, hopefully we all go to heaven. And when you get there, whether you believe it or not, is that there's that perfect person up there of you. How close to that person did you become? And when you can, on a daily basis, tell yourself, hey, I need to be the best version of myself today. And what does that look like? Both personally and professionally, that's where the magic happens. And if you can do that on a consistent basis of like, I want to be the best version of myself, and then look at yesterday and say, hey, where did I miss the boat? Where did I fall short? Like on my way in today, I was thinking about, okay, I did this yesterday, I did that yesterday, I did this. What could I have done more, or what could I have done differently? And it's a good reminder. And then what I do is when I come in, I kind of write it down as a reminder to me. All that little stuff, maybe it seems like nothing, it's everything. Because life is about getting 1% better every day, right? It's those small movements. And if you guys can try to figure out, like, I'm not going to be able to eat the elephant in one bite, right? It's small little bites. And the real estate business right now, for the newbies, is it can be overwhelming. And the best thing you can do right now is focus on that lead generation, and then you'll learn the real estate as you go. You'll navigate through a transaction just by doing it, right? We can teach it to your blue in the face, but actually going out there and actually doing it is really where you learn. But you have all support in the world. Does that make sense to everyone? All right. Knowing for knowing's sake, which is ignorance based, right? Gary always says that, well, actually, this was Simon Sinek said this. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Right? And knowledge is great, but then what you do with it is up to you. You have responsibility when you're learning something to share it or to utilize it, take action on it. Right? And then there's learning based, which is know for doing sake, which means taking action, sharing it, helping other people grow. Because when you help enough people get what they want, you get what you want. That's why for me, my sole purpose is to help as many people as I can. My mind is not focused on money at all. That comes automatically. I don't worry about it. Don't worry. I used to when I was younger. Different mindset now. And there's a lot of people that are ignorance based. They just want to know for knowing's sake, but then they don't do anything with the information. For me, it doesn't make sense. Well, why would you read a tax book, right, on how to save on taxes, utilizing models and systems, and then never do anything with it? Doesn't make any sense to me. And that goes with everything. It's like if you go get a cooking lesson and you're a terrible cook, You might want to listen, but then you go back and you order takeout all the time. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me, right? Does that make sense to everyone? Any questions on that? Christy, you good? Making sure you're still,
Great, thanks.
you got it. High achievers make training, education, and self-development the foundational piece of their action plan to achieve their goals. Are we talking about that? We talking about education? Right? Self-development, training. What are you doing right now to work on you? And Tori just brought it up with one of her goals. The only person that's going to do it is you. So I can't do it for you. No one else can do it for you. You have to want it and do it. And same thing with Tori. She and I have had these conversations about taking care of her health and making sure she's okay. I'm glad she's doing that. She deserves to do that. Because as you get older, and if you want to have kids, you can't walk around and be in a health hazard. You know what I mean? And I have a younger one, and I have to make sure that I'm like as healthy as I can be. I have bad knees. I have osteoporosis in my hip. I still get up 4:15. I limp when I get out of bed. I'm in pain. And then I get going, and then it gets better. And then I get done, and I feel like $1 million. And that's just the way it is. I count my blessings. I'm able to walk, talk, right? And it could always be worse. But I don't use that as an excuse. I could say, I got no cartilage in my one knee, barely any in my other. I get shots in my knee, and I can use that as an excuse not to work out. That's not my excuse. That's not how my life is going to be dictated. And it has to be that important to you. So when you're young, usually if you guys are healthy, there's no excuses, right? Get out there, walk. We're talking about health. Walk, go to the gym, yoga, bike, whatever it is. Doesn't mean you have to go to the gym. Do something, right? And then get your mind, if you're not used to taking care of yourself in regards to working out, just do one day at a time. And by that, talked about it, the power of one more, right? Just do one more, just one more day. Because sometimes things can seem so overwhelming, but if you break it down to just one day, let me get through this day. Then you get through that day, and then you have tomorrow. Let me get through this day. And you keep doing it, and all of a sudden it just becomes a mindset there. Right? But if you've never worked out before, I use that as an example, in day one, it seems like you're going to climb Mount Everest, and you actually just go and do it, and you're just kind of like, oh. I haven't met one person that really doesn't work out, that goes and works out, that says, I feel like crap afterwards. They always say, I feel better. Always. And it's the same thing with like lead generation. If you're lead generating and doing what you're supposed to do, it feels good, especially when you get appointments. Right? But it's the pain along the way. That's what people are willing to do. Remove limiting beliefs. Oh, this is a big one. Remove beliefs from their thinking that hold them back. Give me some examples. What could hold you back? Yeah.
So I recently hiked 6 miles in the Grand Canyon and thought I was gonna die because I was so out of shape. And immediately that was like, I am so out of shape, I can't do this, I'm never gonna get out of here, I'm gonna know how to come at me, like, and it's very expensive. But it was one of those things where it was mindset. The only thing that got me out of that freaking canyon was mindset. But I had to be a good chief and be like, you have to get out of here, so figure it out, and you're gonna do it.
So that was a trigger.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
So we all have we all have triggers, right? And like for me, the one thing that I think about a lot is walking my daughter down the aisle one day. And you know, just making sure that I stay as healthy as I can and making sure that I'm there and everything that I do every day will compound to get to that point. So for you, the trigger for you was like, damn, I feel like crap. I shouldn't feel like this. But it now motivated you to go do what you're doing right now. And the key is to stay consistent with it and keep doing it and not forget about when you were in Arizona and you were almost dying. You felt like you were almost dying, right? So, and it's the same thing with like real estate. You got to have that feeling of like, I have no appointments this week. I have no closings. I have nothing in the funnel. I feel like crap. I suck. But you don't. You just have to do the activities, right? And then it's amazing when I hear this, Chris, oh my God, I got 2 appointments this week. I did what you told me to do. Yeah, I'm not telling you anything that's like life shattering. I'm telling you that you just show up every day, get your mind right and lead generate. Stay in touch with your database. Contact your warm sphere, friends, family, people that love you, people that want to help you. Second to that, referrals. Friends of the friends and the families. People that will give you referrals. Third are the not mets, people you don't know. She left, but I told her we had a little, if you know this, we had a little meeting and she asked me, like, what can I do to bring in some more business? And I said, well, where do you go to get your coffee? So she goes to this local place. She's coffee's amazing. Great. Do you see the owner there? Yeah, I see the owner there. Cool. Do they host any events there? She's like, oh my God, yeah. After they close, they host events there. I see it like all the time. Did you ever go talk to her? No. Okay. So rule number 1, you're going to go up to the owner and say, introduce yourself, say, listen, I love coming here. I love your coffee. I recommend your place to everyone I know. Would you mind if we set up a referral program where I bring a ton of people in here and you refer them to anybody that's looking to buy, sell, or invest? All I'm asking for is a name. She's like, that's it? I'm like, yeah, that's it. It's that easy. What did she do? She continued to get coffee and didn't do anything. And then finally, last week, she goes, oh my God, Grace, I talked to her. And she said, yes, she'll do it. It's not rocket science. Start thinking outside the box. Like there's business for you right there. All you have to do is ask for it. And that was just one way. Now she can go get with a lender, and that lender can host a client appreciation party at the coffee place. Now she's supporting this woman even more, and she's inviting more people to that. You think she's going to get some buyers? Absolutely, she is. 100%. You just have to ask. And that right there was her limiting belief. She was scared of what she was going to say. She was scared of getting a no. That's what she was scared of. You're gonna get no's. You get a lot of no's. Get over it. It only takes one yes. One yes, one moment. Think of a time in your life when you had a limiting belief you need to remove. All right, so I need you to write this down. Number 1, what was your limiting belief? How did you do it? What meaning when you removed it, how did you do it? And then what new successes came your way once you're removing it? I just gave you an example right there. I just gave you an example. Hey, Christy, I'm going to pick on you this time, so just be ready.
Okay.
All right. Do you want me to, can you see it? You can see it, right?
I can, yeah.
What's that?
I can see it, yes.
All right, cool. Just want to make sure. While you guys are doing that, there was an agent that's not here anymore. And she actually, I came from Remax to here, and she came like maybe a couple of weeks after I came. And she's brand new agent. And we sat down after, I guess it was maybe a couple weeks later. And she, again, bought me coffee, she wanted to pick my brain. And she's like, what's like one thing I can do right now to get traction? So I said, well, there's actually two things you can do. One is tell the whole world what you're doing right now. You came from a different business. And then number two, I said, I did the same thing. I said, where do you go to get coffee or bagels or whatever? And she's like, oh, this place I go to in Fishtown, it's amazing. I said, cool. So you're gonna go in, same thing, go to the business owner or the manager, ask for them, tell them what you're doing, tell them who you're with. Right? I gave her a script for it. She went in and the owner was a real estate investor. And she ended up having him as her client. And probably still does to this day, but that's what really launched her real estate business. So. Christy, you good?
I am.
Care to share?
Yes, I guess mine is more on a personal level. I guess my limited belief was when I left my husband, I didn't think that I would be able to hold my own as a single mom with my new career. But a year into it, I realized that I was wrong and I can truly do anything I put my mind to.
I so appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that. And I want to expound that real quick, is that as bad as that is, the life's not over. Right?
Oh no, we became best of friends and we're closer now than we were when we were together.
And I believe things happen for us, not to us. So I mean, whenever something happens in your life, whether unfortunately I've experienced death in my family, and whenever something like that happens, there's a bigger purpose, there's something else behind it. And as bad as it is in that moment, and you missed in regards to this, you missed that person. There's just there's a reason for it. And it makes you a better person. And I'm sure, Christy, that for you, as bad as that experience was, you're now friends with him and your life has changed for the better, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. One more. Yeah.
So, my limiting belief was time, because I didn't have time to do it. I'm a mom, but I also had, work doing real estate. So I started like time block, and then during this time blocking, it alleviated those times that I didn't think I had enough time to do everything with that.
I love it. That's fabulous. You know, it's like, don't let anyone hijack your day. How many times have you, I used to be a yes person. I used to say yes to everything, and it got me in trouble because I couldn't live up to all the promises I made. Now, I'm very protective of my time, and it doesn't matter who it is, right? So it's really, really important that you don't let something or someone like hijack your day. And what's really, that 20% they were talking about, that lead generation part of it for you guys, don't let anything get in the way of that. Obviously, there's an emergency, but other than something like that, like nothing else matters. It's got to be that important to you. You guys are building a database now, right? Once you build a database, you got to feed it, right? And that's where command comes in. That's where JP comes in, right? Systematically communicate with your database, right? That's leverage. And last but not least, be accountable. Oh, this is so good. You guys relate to this, being a victim? Doesn't seek reality, fights reality, the blame game, personal excuses, waits and hopes, and then being accountable, seeks reality, acknowledges reality, they own it, finds solutions, doesn't always come with problems, but has solutions, and gets on with it. What do you guys think? Let's start with the left side. Have you guys ever been a victim, or do you guys know victims that are currently in your sphere right now? So I'll give you a quick story. A guy that used to work for me, I used to be in the restaurant business prior to real estate. a guy that used to work for me, became friends with him. And probably friends for 23 years, 24 years. And when I sold my restaurant at that time, I realized that this guy, all he did was like blame other people, and I stayed friends with him. And then it was right around the time, like a year after I was here, that I had an epiphany. And I was like, I got off the phone with him. He's one of those people like, you see the name on the phone and you're like, crap, like I don't. And I know this person's gonna keep on calling me until they get in touch with me. And I know he's gonna have me on the phone for a freaking hour. So I took this call, I remember the day. And all I heard him talk about was, he's not where he wants to be in his life. I give you a lot of credit for, you left the hospitality business and you got into real estate, are successful. And, but I can't do real estate because I can't learn properly and I'm bad at taking tests and yada, yada, yada. And all it was like blaming everyone else. And I literally, at the end of the phone call, I said, his name is Jerry. I said, Jerry, I love you, but this is probably going to be the last call we're going to have. And he's like, why? I said, you're nothing but one big ball of negativity. It's everyone else's fault. It's never your fault. When are you going to take some ownership? I've been listening to you for years. Matter of fact, I blame myself for not telling you this sooner. I did you a disservice by not telling you. Most people probably won't tell you this. I love you, but can't hang around with you. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And once in a while we talk, because I do care about him, but I don't spend time on the phone with him. He doesn't tell me about his excuses because he knows where we stand right now. So going back, who's in your sphere right now? Right? Who are like the 5 or 6 people that you're with all the time? Are they a victim? Or are they someone that's accountable? Do they have your best interest at heart? Do they want to see you succeed? Do they care enough about you to hold you accountable? When you think about it like that, how many victims do you have around you? And how many people that are accountable around you? Thoughts?
I love this. This like makes me think of like my relationship kind of a lot, right? I feel like when you're in like generally when you're in a relationship, it's so easy to be a victim because you expect, you expect your partner to provide certain things for you. Whereas when you're by yourself, like we have 3 kids born on it. So we have like our hands are full, so when stuff isn't getting done, when stuff isn't like, it's so easy to blame the other one. So we had a good conversation like 2 years ago when we started our own business about this, and it's funny just like how when you talk, we have a label of like victim versus accountable, but it's funny how like the columns like they line up with like once you start going over to this side, how much more productive you are in a relationship and in friendship and communicating with others with confidence. Just like because when you're owning your own personal like reality, you just carry yourself differently because you're responsible for how you see your day. You know what I mean?
I love it.
This is just, I love this. I love it a lot.
It's so true because we think about this maybe from a business perspective, but this is to your point in relationships. I know with my wife, this side of it, like a lot of this is me. That over there, some of it is her. Like she'll be the first one, and sometimes I'm good because I get caught up in it, but I always tell her, I'm like, this isn't about whose fault it is, right? It's not about a blame game. It's about how can we get through this, whatever it is. And usually it's something small and trivial, right? But when you look at this, and you can, if you're wrong and you can own it, and you can apologize for it, you squash it and you move on, as long as it's not something really bad. And then you get on with it, you move on, right? Some people just want to hold on to something and not let it go, and then they use it against you, right? That's not good, right? But this really does paint a picture, doesn't it? Any other thoughts on that? You guys are really quiet back there, really quiet. The ladies are doing all the talking. Thoughts?
I have some people in my life that. They're victims. And I try to be. Patient. You can come on too strong with. You need to be accountable, you need to. In my experience, you can't come on too strong with that. You can see that. Kind of guide into it. I've always been an accountable person. So it's hard for me to see it from their perspective, you know?
Yeah, no, there's some truth to that. I think that we owe it to whoever it is. If it's a victim type mentality and it's bothering you, that you should bring it up to them in a constructive way. And either they're gonna conform to it because they respect you. And they're gonna honor it and try to get better at it, or two, they're just gonna tell you, this is just the way I am. That will kind of tell you everything you need to know about that person. And I'm talking about family too. There's people like in my family, I know how they are, certain people, and it doesn't mean I want to be around them. It can be family, friends, whoever, right? But your life changes when you surround yourself with people that actually are like that accountability mindset. And actually want to help you grow as a person. It's game changer. Stop hanging around with people that are victims. It doesn't work. Accountability is an attitude and an approach. Accountability is a tool for changing the results in your life. Accountability is a dynamic cycle, not a static concept. Which one resonates more with you guys?
Accountability is a tool for changing results in your life.
How so?
I think that. You know, you said earlier that no individual is able to be subsequently accountable for everything.
Nope.
And like it is me personally, I have goals that I've set for myself, but I'm like not necessarily doing anything to work towards those goals. And the only way that I'm going to achieve that is if I have to know something. So using that as a tool to bring me closer to the things that I want.
Yeah.
And responsibility.
Love it. Love it. Who else?
I think it's attitude, I resonate with the being attitude in our growth.
Okay.
We just have to. Essentially speak moving forward in a better way.
Go a little deeper with me, no matter what.
No matter what bogs you down, no matter what obstacles stand in your way. You can't harp on. You just have to keep going.
You know why?
Because you owe it to yourself.
Well, you owe it to yourself, but it's temporary. Right? Anything that happens to us is temporary. It's our choice to move on, right? And whether it's something bad, I should talk about death or divorce or whatever it is, it's only temporary. It's our choice if you want to move on. Right? So yeah, I love that. One more.
Just to piggyback off of that, I think it's the same thing, like, your choice if you want to move on, but your choice that you react to things.
Sure, absolutely.
And I think yourself accountable on how you react to things. Because sometimes people are afraid to say, you know, you were an asshole, or whatever the case may be, but just taking a step back and really thinking about how am I gonna react to this situation, because it's going to affect the other person for all of this. And you can't take that back. Once you, so if you've ever had fierce conversations in the intro, they talk about kaleidoscope. And when you look into a kaleidoscope, you turn it, and you can never turn it back the exact same way. It's always going to, that's how it's.
It's got a different look to it. Yeah.
So in relationships and in business, the way that you react to things, that other person is going to be affected about how you react to whatever. And you can't ever change that. You know, you can apologize, you can say, he did that way, but they're always gonna have that first reaction.
Yeah. It's also, I love that. It's also important to remove the emotions from it too, right? A lot of times we get emotional and that's how we react based off emotion. Instead of say, okay, being practical about it and say, okay, well, let me put myself in their shoes and see how they're maybe taking it, and then maybe ask really good questions, right? Instead of just assuming, coming out like firing all cylinders, right? And then that's when people get defensive. You know, when you can, like if Tori, if I said to Tori, you know, that email you sent to that person was awful, I can't believe you did that, what's wrong with you? Instead of saying, hey, that email that you sent to that person, what were you thinking when you sent it? I just want to go through like the thought process. There's two different ways of saying it, right? The first way, she's probably gonna be like, you know, he's an a-hole. Why would you say that to me, right? The other way is like, okay, well, it gives me a chance to explain myself, giving people the benefit of the doubt, right? It's always a better approach that way. High achievers are diligent about being accountable. I think you guys get the gist of that, right? Has someone holding them accountable on a regular basis. You guys think that's important now? Are you going to think about who's going to hold you accountable? Do you have someone in mind? Right? Really, really important. And by the way, if you ask someone to hold you accountable for whatever your goals are and they say no, what are you going to do?
You find somebody else.
Well, you'll
Oh,
find someone,
you.
and you're probably not hanging out with that person either. Right? Because at the end of the day, that person probably doesn't really care about you. So category people in Mo's box. Everybody know who Mo is? Talking about Mo Anderson. JP, why don't you tell everyone about Mo Anderson?
She's a phenom. She was one of the first CEO of the company.
The first.
Yep. And she is still like, you want to talk about cultural icons, that she is the person that kind of set the tone for the culture of the company. And she continues to be very involved, really talking about what our culture should be and how to be a part of that culture. And she's the type of person you listen to her talk and you get energized to go do whatever it is that she told you about. She is fantastic.
She's also an owner in KW International as a whole. But she's 84 years old. She still got fired. Gary Keller interviewed her on stage. It was the first time in 30 years he actually had her on stage interview. We thought it was crazy, but anyway, she really is amazing. She has set the culture for the company. So she has someone for financial. She's got someone for business. Gary Keller's not too bad to have someone as a consultant for business. Ed Livermore, physical and Nina Rowan, spiritual, and then Mo's in the middle. I love this because I know Mark King does the same thing. When you break it down, who do you have in your financial circle that's going to help you, whether it be a CPA, accountant, financial planner, advisor, right? Who's in your corner? Who's in your little bucket? Next business. One of your business consultants could be Keller Williams Philadelphia. And then someone in your case, who are pro coaching, right? Would be Tess. Physical, we talked about that. Who's in your circle? Who's got your best interest at heart in regards to your goals? Or who's helping you? Do you have a trainer? Do you have a nutritionist? Do you have a fitness consultant? Whatever it is. And then spiritual. And by the way, physical, it could be a swimming coach, could be anything. It doesn't necessarily mean like going to the gym. And then spiritual. Whatever your religion is, doesn't matter. Whatever it is. And I'll tie spiritual, I'll tie getting your mind right. You know, with your daily habits. Atomic Habit, great book. If you haven't read it, 100% need to buy it, read it, audio, whatever you want to do. Great book. Here, I'll give you a couple. I read a lot, so, Tax Street Wealth is a good one. I just finished reading that one. Robert Kiyosaki, which is Rich Dad Poor Dad. If you haven't read that, definitely get that book. But great book, Tax Street Wealth. Impact Players, another great book. I won't give you too many, but I'll give you a couple more. Besides MREA, besides The One Thing, right?
Lifestyle Investor was great.
Yep, Justin Donald, Lifestyle Investor. I got to spend some time with him, and he is just a wealth of knowledge. Great book. Thank you for that. And believe it or not, something a little off cuff is Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins. I love that guy. He's so intense. I think that's what I love about him, but he's relentless. No excuses. His story is just amazing. So another great book. I would start with those, but those are really good books. The Atomic Habit one, really good. Really good.
Yeah, I just want to comment on that, so. I just like started writing down, who's going to be not over one of these things, and I have on the blank, but I want to say that. As you go through and look at these, you can't have the same person.
Correct.
And, like. Chris was being accountable business wise. Spiritual, I listen to podcasts, Brene Brown's like my God. And so like that for me, it's kind of me putting myself in that role, listening to them, but it's a daily habit. It's a podcast or audiobooks every single day. So, financial, I have someone, and then physical is blank right now, because right now it's me, but I think that's. So, I couldn't have the same person that holds my financials accountable for spiritual. Because they're gonna be like, oh, I don't care about that, even though. It's
Right.
But.
Well, you want someone that, I want to say specializes, but really knows a lot about that to help you. So yeah, you really can't have the same person for two different topics.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. Anybody else on that? Christy, you good?
I am, thank you.
Just checking on you, dear.
I'm still here.
Awesome. So again, right? Fill in the blanks. Who's it going to be for you guys? And listen, that'll change, right? As you get older, like that'll probably change. Maybe it won't with some of them, but it probably will. I've gone through 4 different CPAs in like 4 years. And I found the right one finally. All right. So recap. Step 1, commit to self-mastery. I'm going to nail it. I'm going to master this. That's an affirmation, right? Every morning, I'm going to crush it. I'm going to kill it. Maybe you're saying to yourself, that sounds stupid. I'm not going to say that. Like giving the mirror a high five. Another great book, High Five Habit, Mel Robbins. Great book. Step 2, commit to the 80-20 principle. I'm going to focus on my big rocks. Right? You're going to focus on what matters, produces the biggest results. Right? Step 3, move from E to P, easy to pain, entrepreneurial and purposeful. I am purposeful about breaking through my ceiling of achievement. That's up to you. If you want to stay average, stay average. You're not born to be average. Right? So once you break through that ceiling, that's when like the pain happens. Right? A lot of people don't want to go through the pain. Step 4, making being learning based the foundation of your action plan. I am willing to be taught. I have always pursued learning. Means you're coachable. Are you coachable? Or do you think you know everything? I gave you books. Maybe you read them, maybe you don't. It's up to you. Right? You want to get better? You got to be learning based. Oops. 5, remove your limiting beliefs. I limit my thinking and my success. so much of this holds people back. There's so many real estate agents out there, I'm never gonna be able to be successful. There's not enough opportunities out there, there's no inventory. Interest rates are high. Who cares? Who cares? That just means there's more opportunity for you because you're willing to do what other people aren't. That's the difference. That's the difference. And then be accountable. It's mine, I own it. What would it look like if you said that every day and you actually took action on it? And you had an accountability partner. And your foundation was spiritual, right? You had someone there. It was financial. You had someone there. And you had someone for your health. What would that look like? How could that change your life? It's not too late. Trust me, it's not too late. You can be anywhere you want in 5 years, anywhere. List at least one action you will take as a result of what you've learned. And I will go through and I will ask you. So list at least one action item you will take as a result of what you just learned. There could be more than one action, so. If you've listed it, then just raise your hand or just speak out. Exactly.
I'm gonna try to do a better job of protecting my time. And actually adhering to the time block that I have in place. Because I find that, especially in my role, things pop up all the time that I feel like I need to take care of immediately. And in reality, those are not emergencies that need to happen. And there's other things that I need to get done, not only for me, but for the business. So just doing a better job of adhering to that and staying accountable.
I love that. Yeah.
Letting people know, hey, this is the time I'm doing this, hey, this is the time I'm doing this. So the people around you understand, I can't interrupt this person right now. I know that from 8 AM to 11 AM, John Paul and Andrew are doing weed generation. I know that 9 AM is actually way more system input, like I know these things because they told me, and it helps hold them accountable, helps me not interrupt them and all those things.
Well, I'll challenge you to do like a recon time hack, which means when you wake up, when you actually like get going, if you're going to work out or exercise or whatever, but it's 8 AM, 7 AM from that time to let's say 5 o'clock. Look at how much time that you actually have wasted, not on task or not on your time block, add it up. Like literally keep track, write it down. And you have to be real, you have to be honest with yourself and write it down, whether it's 15 minutes, half hour, whatever it is. And at the end of the day, add it up. And that will tell you how much time you actually wasted. And you could have been more productive and how much time you could have gotten back to do something else, right? When you look at it like that, it's like, wow. Really does tell a story. And that will actually hold you more accountable to time blocking your activities and being more productive. Who else? Yes,
I need to learn how to use the system on command correctly.
JP.
I can market myself better and get my needs, my brains out.
So that man right there is your best friend.
I mean, you do that already, but I'm your best. Specifically for this, well,
Leverage him. Like, take advantage. I mean, he's an expert on command. Seriously. He can show you so many things to streamline your business. Everyone here should be doing, to be honest with you, but that's great. Who else?
I have two things,
Yep.
find and exercise and value, building partner, and then obviously like 4-1 and sending you.
That's a great idea. Awesome. I love it. One more.
Taking my fears that keep me from getting to that pain ceiling or my limiting beliefs, which are kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Ish, and actually writing them down and working through them in a very purposeful way. Not just saying this is my fear, but then thinking, what can I do about it? And is it even a valid fear? When you write it down and look at all the different pieces, is it even a valid fear? So where to get over it?
Fear holds us back.
Absolutely.
Fear 100% holds us back. And I've always been and always will be an entrepreneur. I've always gone for it. My wife's complete opposite. She works for a bank. I love her. That's what she likes. That's who she is, and that's great. Everyone is different. I am 100% jump off the cliff, see if the wings come out, fly. That's just who I am, right? And there is fear that goes along with it, but man, once you get past that, it's amazing what can happen. So yeah, that's great. I love that. Anybody else? Any ahas, comments on any of this? No?
2017.
That's terrible. I remember that family reunion. That was in Vegas. All right, we got pretty good. We got 7 minutes. All right, I'll do this real quick. I've done this a couple times, but I don't think I've done it again. I think this is important, and this is a good reminder of knowing what money you have coming in, what your expenses are, and then what's left over and what you do with it, right? So the tour, I know you've seen this before. So this is really good to do at home with your own finances. All right. First one is your economic income, right? What does that mean? That's the money that flows into your life, right? So we'll do real estate sale, right? What else could it be? Could be real estate investment properties. If you have real estate investment properties. Could be stock market. No, I'm not putting Bitcoin up here. What else could it be? It could be another business, right? What else? Anything else in there? It could be profit share, which we offer here, right? And then it could be, we'll put ancillary income on here. What I mean by that is if you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you get afforded the right to buy into title and have title shares, and you get distribution checks every quarter, then you get that. Now, you may not have all or some of this, but so this is the money that flows into your life. Now we get to the expense stuff. So rent or mortgage. For your young ones, maybe you're staying at home with mom and dad. What else? Utilities.
Daycare,
What?
daycare.
Daycare. How about education? You, insurance, and that can be health insurance and car insurance. We'll just leave that on there. What else? What's that? Car. Car, insurance, education, daycare, utilities, rent, mortgage, and then we'll just do entertainment. Which means going out to eat, whatever, right? So hopefully you have money left over. Hopefully you're not spending more than you're making. Right? So if you just started in real estate and maybe you're not bringing any money in right now, maybe you have another job. Put that amount down, right? Just what you make every week. Right? And then times 4 what you do for the month, and then look at all your expenses. What are they? And then figure out what you have left over. A lot of people win. They just spend. They have no budget. They don't know where their money's going. There's no roadmap. Right? We need a roadmap for everything. We talked about that earlier. Then hopefully you got money left over. And what is your wealth strategy for that money? Where are you putting it? What portion of that money is going into real estate investments? What portion of it is it going toward a savings account for a rainy day? What portion of that money is going in there for a SEP IRA, Roth, whatever it is? What part of that percentage of that money is going in for your kids, for college education? If you have kids or want to have kids one day, right? So I always break it up, right? And then fill this in with percentages, right? So, and again, it doesn't matter how much money you have left over. As long as you have something left over, it's a start, right? But then you got to know where the money goes. And that's where having a financial planner and a CPA is so important. That can help you with that. Who in here is a licensed CPA? Who in here is a licensed financial planner? I rest my case. So why would you go and do it on your own or try to do it on your own? Hire someone who actually has the knowledge and the license to give you really good advice. The bigger question is, right here, you have a moat that protects your money. Are you leaving all your money in the stock market? Are you diversified? Because building a moat around your wealth strategy is really important. Just as important as having a tax strategy. Because when you start making good money, hopefully all of you start making really good money in real estate, you should already have a plan for that. Not wait till afterwards. Does that make sense to everyone? Very good exercise to do on your own time. It kind of tells you where you are, right? So it shows you where your financial thermostat is. And then also, are you spending too much? Right now, more than ever, because everything costs more money right now, is you need to set a budget for yourselves in your business and also in your personal life. No one likes to hear, especially today, the word budget. But it's really, really important. Any questions? Comments? Nothing? Look, I mean, come on, talk to me.
Never happened.
Christy, anything?
No, I think I'm great. Thank you for asking.
Awesome.
I emailed everyone I emailed everyone the statistic guide for this. You'll have all of the information, all of the 4-1 examples, and everything you want.
Just do me or do us a favor. is if you don't take one thing from here and take action on it, you're doing yourselves a disservice. You spent 2 hours. And shame on some of you or all of you for not asking more questions. You guys this is a great opportunity for you guys to come prepared, and this is a lesson for you guys. Come prepared. This is an opportunity to ask any questions you guys have for me about real estate or anything in general. You don't miss the opportunity when it's right in front of you. Does that make sense to everyone? Right? If there's not a lot of people here, there's no reason to be afraid or be scared to ask any questions, right? So just next time you go into a class or you go somewhere where you're being learning based, is that you come prepared with questions that you want to ask. You pay attention, you take good notes, and then you take action on some of the things that they're talking about. Make sense? Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Got it.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Oh. Oh, I didn't even see that. I didn't even see you guys on there. I'm sorry.
Hello.
6 or 7 people on there.
I only saw Christy's name on there. I apologize. I didn't mean to ignore you guys. Hope you can hear me.